This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
So we are in the part of the church here where we spend several Sundays in a row with St. John talking about Jesus, talking about being the bread of life. And I have to tell you, it is an interesting job as a pastor to try to figure out for all these weeks in a row how to unpack in meaningful ways what this bread of life business is all about. So this week, when I was preparing and reading and studying, I came across some people, quite frankly, who are far more eloquent than I am. And so today, I have borrowed pieces from other pastors. And as you leave today, I didn't want you to have them now, but as you leave today, there is a printout, a salmon-colored printout that will have both the prayer and the poem that we're going to unfold our time together with. So there at the back of the church, yours for the taking. But we were going to unfold the bread of life today is with 3 P's. The 3 P's are a poem, a promise, and a prayer. The poem. It is Corpus Christi. It is written by Ken Stork. I invite you to settle in to the images, both visual and verbal. Speaking of the church anorexic, undernourished by dogma and fast food sound bites from What Would Jesus Do campaigns. Her diet of rice, wafers, and shot glasses of grape juice speak of fasting, betraying the feast. She walks from the table and pious words of forgiveness without pondering the mystics, the mystery, the peace. Imagine a large table full of faces forgotten, of bad, good, indifferent, and all in between. Imagine the host, Christ, the Jew, often forgotten, sharing his very self with the greatest and the least. At the large table, deep in a forest, a banquet of plenty, surrounded by beasts, where no one goes hungry, where no one is rejected, where everyone is satiated and become what they eat. Plants and animals, all of creation at this universal table, abiding in the one who gives his flesh, the true food, who gives his blood, the true drink, and new life, now, forever, for all on the brink. I was struck with the poignancy of this great, big, beautiful feast and life and delight God has for us, and yet how we minimalize it. We ignore. We don't maybe even pay attention. That's where the poem struck me this week. But also a story. The story is of 2 siblings, the man in his 50s, the woman in her 40s. They were in their 40s and their 50s when they came into their inheritance. And when they came into their inheritance, it was a bountiful inheritance. There were vacation homes and homes that set on across 2 different continents. And there were stocks and bonds and a huge checking account. It was a tremendous inheritance. And everything went well between the brother and the sister for about 37 seconds. Immediately they began to argue over a piece of art in the house. Now mind you, it was not an expensive piece of art. It wasn't a particularly remarkable piece of art. But instead of seeing the bounty and the beauty of the inheritance that had come to them, all they could manage to do was to argue over this piece of art. Eventually it went to litigation. Eventually they spent 100 times on lawyers more than what the artwork was worth. And eventually the relationship between brother and sister was entirely broken. Not so different than this huge, beautiful gift God has created for all of God's world. And yet, when we fail to pay attention, when we see famine instead of feast, we too miss the point. Promise. The promise in the gospel today is, you are what you eat. Now, the gardeners among us already know this, but you can change the color of a hydrangea depending on what you feed that hydrangea. If you like the pinks, you add more alkali. If you like the blues, you add more acid to the soil. You are what you eat. Today in the gospel, Jesus lays out two different options: the manna option or the bread of life option. Now, the manna option, Jesus is referring to when the people were in the wilderness. And out in the wilderness, there was no food, so God provided food day after day after day. Manna. Now, the thing about manna is, unless it was Sabbath, you could only take what you needed for that day, one day's worth of food, otherwise it would rot. It would get all wormy. So every day, they had to go back for their manna fill, day after day after day, because the manna would not last. And the manna did not satisfy except for in the short term. Now think about how we feed ourselves with manna. It could be food that comes and it goes, but it could be any other thing that we chase after that is solely of this world, that will not last. Well, if I only have the latest electronics, I'm going to be happy forever, right? No, not until the next model comes out. Or the newest car, or the greatest house, or whatever it might be that we chase after in our manna world. Those will not satisfy forever and for always. Which leads us right back to the bread of life. Who God is and what God offers to us. God's plan, God's call, those are the things that endure. Grace, mercy, love, those are the bread of life. Here's the promise. The mystery that Jesus is intimately ingestible, absorbable in ways that defy understanding, but are intended to be life transforming. The bread of life is intended to transform each and every one of us. And finally, the prayer. Come, Lord Jesus, be our meal. Help us to show your love is real. Blessed be God who is our bread. May all the world be housed and fed. In just a very few minutes, we are going to gather around the bread of life. Bread will be broken. Wine will be poured. There is a very real possibility that hearts be healed and community built. We are fed with this bread of life in order that we will be sent back out into that hungry world to be the bread of life, abundantly and eternally.